Hi everyone, Mark Merrill with Farm, with the Fact Files and Journal Brief. Seems that the Maine Democrats have shut out Maine Wire and all kinds of other conservative media in the entire state of Maine at their convention that started May 1st down at Thompson's Point in Portland. What's going on? Well, I don't know. We'll let Steve Robinson and the rest of the Maine Wire tell you. We got that report right there. And some pretty nasty remarks from the Maine Democratic Party and lies. Tim Walz's appearance in Maine has raised some fresh scrutiny over why Maine Democrats would feature a national figure tied to controversy over fraud, riots, and failed campaign messaging. What the heck's going on? I don't know. John Featherston described being blocked from the Maine Democratic Convention despite the event's public-facing message that everyone is welcome. The exchange led to broader questions about why Maine Democrats would restrict access to conservative media, while major candidates and party figures gathered inside. One lady came across and said that Amy Spear, by the way, about a few hours back, that they, meaning the Democrats, are suffering and quarantining from TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. It's an ongoing medical condition where Democrats' absolute hatred for Donald Trump has led them to go insane, abandoning all logic and reason in a paranoid frenzy. Can you just imagine how much anger is in that convention? Hopefully they have on-site EMTs. Maybe. I don't know about that. Another one says a Mrs. Albert says evil is afoot again. Even on the national level, still sweeping. Truth under the rug. My question is why Tim Walz is not behind bars. When justice is not served, then our democratic society becomes eroded. She's got that right. Now here, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to show you right up front so you know exactly what's going on here. And there it is. It's a press release from the Maine Democratic Party itself. This is on their website. And for all to see, free and unblocked, unlike Maine Wire being blocked, and probably myself if I were able to get down to Portland. Jonathan Bush says the Maine Democrats, this is MaineDems.org, by the way. Jonathan Bush compares Maine care expansion to Putin bombing schools. What? Are you out of your mind? So, for more information on that, folks, we're going to give you some websites on that because the Maine Dems deserve to have their rear ends kicked all the way into the Atlantic Ocean. This was back on May 1st of 2026. That particular morning, the morning of the first day of their Democratic state convention at Thompson's Point. You want to go down there and throw some rocks in the windows, go ahead. You have my permission. American Journal News reported on Jonathan Bush recently comparing Maine care expansion to Russian President Putin bombing schools in an interview with WGAN's Matt Gagnon. Well, tell you what, folks, Matt Gagnon is also friends with the Maine Policy Institute. As a matter of fact, he is an executive with the Maine Policy Institute. So watch yourself, Democrats. You're getting yourselves in deep water here when it comes to the FCC and blocking people like the Maine Wire and people like myself. I digress just momentarily, but we go on. It appears also, folks, that they're calling Bobby Charles, the leader in the Maine Republican gubernatorial candidate pool, as backing out of a GOP debate that was to be hosted by WGME 13 and the Bangor Daily News that he previously agreed to attend. Now that's all blown out of proportion. It's a big fat lie. That's all it is, folks. MaineDems.org/running scared Bobby Charles backs out. Bullshit. I'll say it. I don't care. You want to block me, FCC? Go ahead. It's baloney. Mr. Charles said the reason that he was not going to the debate is because, and this is what, of course, the Democrats don't tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is that they blocked out and stopped Robert Wessels and one other Maine gubernatorial candidate from attending this debate on WGME TV and a Bangor Daily News coercion session. Really? Since when has the communist state taken over the state of Maine, folks? When? Anybody got any answers for that? Another one. The Maine Democratic Party statement says on Maine Senate primary that Governor Mills is a trailblazer. Now that she's run away from and suspended her campaign, you already know, ladies and gentlemen, for the U.S. Senate seat held by incumbent Susan Collins. But the Maine Democratic Party on MaineDems.org says Susan Collins slammed at Maine GOP convention. Oh, was she? No, that's a lie, too. Governor Mills is a trailblazer who has fought hard for Maine. From expanding health care to standing up to the Trump administration's abuses, we applaud Governor Mills for all she has achieved for Mainers. Yeah, all that fraud. The taxation in the billions of dollars, folks. That's right. We keep barking it, and we're going to continue barking it because it's the truth. Billions of dollars, between 11 and 12 billion to be exact. Along with another 2%, if not an 8% tax hike before she ended the legislative session back on April 30th, along with her announcement that she was going to drop out or suspend her campaign for U.S. Senate. Garrett Mason takes a swipe at GOP rivals at a Republican convention. Now that's false. A media advisory. This is all on the Maine Democratic website, folks. That's where this all is. And you can look it all up because we will post it. Maine Democratic Party to host the 2026 state party convention and press planning to attend must RSVP. Well, John Featherston went two steps further and was right there, but yet a young lady, a representative, I guess, who was watching the door. I know who you are. You're not allowed in. Really? Why not? Well, it says it's a free and public event. She wanted to argue the case, but she is a case, apparently. We have video on that. We can show that to you a bit later, folks. Now, as the rest of this goes on, look at all this paperwork. Look at all this paperwork just from the Maine Democratic website, folks. It's pathetic. Jonathan Bush downplays cancer-causing chemicals, compares protections to banning donuts. Huh. Banning donuts? And in case you missed it, another April post. Millions spent on Collins ads that don't match Maine healthcare reality, according to the Maine Beacon. What a rag that is. You know what? If you want to take this into consideration, folks, and for comparison, compare the Portland Press-Herald and the Bangor Daily News and the Maine Beacon. And the Maine Beacon is about 10 steps below the both of them. And they're corrupt to begin with. Now, during the weekend of April 30th going into May 1st and the Democrats' convention, Susan Collins' history of pandering to Trump and corporate interests was on full display at the Maine GOP convention, where she once again supported Mr. Trump's war efforts, but at the same time didn't fully support the war on Iran. Now, here's another one, folks. We're going to read a couple of more and then get moving on and tell you about the next episode of Firm coming up shortly on YouTube, X, and Substack. New website on Rick Bennett's Republican record. The Bangor Daily News, once again, yeah, really reliable, not, covered the Maine Democratic Party's new website on the gubernatorial candidate Rick Bennett and his Rick's receipts, which lays out his long record as a Republican operative and politician. Oh, don't like his freedom of choice? Once again, it's all about the First Amendment, folks. And the Maine Democratic Party launches a new brand and website, mainedems.org, ahead of the critical election cycle, whatever they call that, I suppose. Maine Democrats return to their roots with a refreshed brand built for Maine's future. Isn't that nice? They want to have a new look. Oh, look! Apologize for the papers here, ladies and gentlemen, but we're getting to some more here that I think everybody in the state of Maine should know about, especially you fine people who are law-abiding, constitutional-abiding people. Democrats launch a new video exposing Republicans' dangerous health care agenda. 5 things to know about Susan Collins ahead of the GOP convention. Says Ms. Collins is running on the same record that has made her one of the most unpopular senators in the country. Oh, is that right? I've seen several pictures recently, folks. Donald Trump, President Trump, having a one-on-one with Susan Collins and thanking her for all of her support during his second term, which started back in January of 2025. Do you remember that? Well, apparently the Democrats like to disagree with the truth. And Ms. Collins praises lobbyist staffers and jokes about a party boat at a D.C. gala. Well, I don't know about that one, folks. It seems to me that that's just garbage. Campaign donations tie Susan Collins' PACs organizations to figures linked to Jeffrey Epstein. False. New reporting from Midas Touch, that's MEIDAS Touch, shows PACs backing Susan Collins, accepting tens of thousands of dollars from donors linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Garbage. One more, folks. GOP candidates race to the right beg for Trump's MAGA endorsement. The Bangor Daily News on April 15th highlighted how Republican candidates for governor, including Garrett Mason, Bobby Charles, and Jonathan Bush, are scrambling to secure Donald Trump's coveted endorsement ahead of the primary. I don't think so. Nope. You're full of it. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, we will get to you with a new Firm program and podcast very shortly. Stay in touch with us on a regular basis all the time. And right here at the very bottom of our page, you can see on the screen here, contact us with any of your ideas for topics concerning any violations of the First Amendment or the first 10 amendments of the Bill of Rights at all. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. We are always on YouTube, X, or Twitter, and Substack. Everyone stay safe. Pray for our country and our state. Peace to all.